Hello, welcome to the Speak Fluent English channel, your hub for mastering English, advancing your career, and advancing your personal life prospects. My name is Carol, and I have been teaching English online since the year 2010, and I am here to help you speak more confidently and more fluently in English. So if you want to improve your vocabulary, your pronunciation, your grammar, your business communication, or your general communication in English, you are in the right place. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get on with today's video. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's video, Mastering Business Idioms and Expressions Part 1. And this video is most suitable for advanced English learners. So the reason this video is part 1 is because there are many idioms in English, not just in business context, but in all contexts of English. And for that reason, it would be completely impossible just to make one video covering this topic. So I plan to, over the coming weeks and coming months, make a whole series of business idiom and expression videos. This one, part 1, we will have a look at some of the ones that are more commonly used. So please grab yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a glass of water, whatever it is that you drink. Sit back, make yourself comfortable, and let's get started. So the first question we need to ask ourselves is, why learn business idioms? Okay, this is a good question. So business idioms boost your fluency and make you sound more natural. They also help you understand native speakers in meetings and emails, which is very important, of course. And they also make your communication more engaging and more professional. Okay, so let's dive straight into our first set of idioms. And these are idioms that you might come across in a meeting. So let's get started with the first one. So first one is to get the ball rolling. And this just simply means to start something. So for example, I'll get the ball rolling on this new project today. Now, sometimes in business, you might have to go back to the drawing board. This is something we don't really want to do, but the reality is that it does happen sometimes, and it is necessary sometimes. So to go back to the drawing board means to start thinking about a new way of doing something after a previous plan or idea has failed. So, for example, they rejected our proposal, so it's back to the drawing board. To be on the same page just simply means to have the same idea as someone else, or to simply agree with somebody else. So this is always something that, we really want to be on the same page with our business colleagues, business associates, whenever we can. So, for example, everyone in the office has to be on the same page about what our top priorities are. And if you touch base with someone, this just means to make a brief contact with them, or to just check in with them very briefly. So no big long discussion, just very quick catch up. So for example, I just want to quickly touch base with you. Did you get an email from my secretary about the meeting? So that's our first set of idioms we're going to look at today. So next we're going to look at another set of idioms that you might come across, you might hear, or you might use if you're talking about performance. So to raise the bar. So if you raise the bar, this just means to simply increase standards or expectations. So for example, the factory has raised the bar on productivity, food safety, and quality. That's a great thing. If you think outside the box, this just means to be creative and original. So, for example, thinking outside the box could be enough to put a business ahead of its competitors. To be in the driver's seat, well, if you're in the driver's seat, you are in control, you are in charge. So if you are a manager, you are in the driver's seat. But sometimes that can be a little bit difficult because it means you have to sometimes deal with the difficult clients. So you might get a difficult client say something like, "Who's overseeing this project? I want to speak to the person in the driver's seat." And if you're the person in the driver's seat, if you're in charge, well, that's you this person wants to speak to. Okay, so if you hit the ground running, you just simply start to do something quickly and effectively. So, for example, she studied the reports over the weekend so she could hit the ground running when the meeting began. Oh my goodness, that's an amazing employee. Okay, so I'm sure there's probably a few people watching this video today that are involved in negotiations with their business. And if you are, here are some idioms that you might want to use, or you might come across other people using them during your negotiation. So the first one is a win-win situation. So this is exactly how we want our negotiation to finish. We want it to finish on a win-win situation. So a good outcome for everyone. So for example, often the only way to reach a win-win agreement is for both sides to compromise, which is absolutely the reality. So another way you can say compromise is to give and take. So if there's a bit of give and take in the negotiation, there's a bit of compromise there. So for example, in every negotiation, there has to be some give and take, which is absolutely true. Okay, so if you have a bargaining chip, you're in a very, very good position with this negotiation because you have something you can use to persuade the other side to reach an agreement. So, for example, here, during the salary negotiation, she used her recent job offer from another company as a bargaining chip to secure a hefty pay rise. Okay. So hefty pay rise. So if something is hefty, it's very large in amount or it's very big and heavy. So in this context, the pay rise large in amount, so a large amount monetary value of a pay rise. Maybe if you're carrying a hefty box across the office, this box is very hefty, very means it's just big and heavy. Okay, and the bottom line is the final offer someone will accept. Okay, so it's always very good to go into your negotiation with a bottom line. So, for example, after hours of discussion, the manager made it clear that the bottom line was a 10% discount or no deal at all. So, wow, this manager is a tough negotiator. Okay, so here are some tips for using idioms correctly. So the first one is to understand the meaning before using. Okay, so this might sound very obvious, but it is very, very important. And I'd like to give you an example. I had a student once and he made a mistake a couple of times in business meetings with associates because he used this expression, with all due respect. This student thought that this expression meant that if you said to somebody with all due respect that you're telling them that you respect them, when actually it does not mean that. It actually means the opposite. Some English teachers will teach this expression with all due respect as a polite way to disagree with somebody. It is a polite way to disagree with somebody, but it does often have quite a negative connotation. So if you say to somebody, "Oh, with all due respect, I think this proposal is ridiculous," really what you're saying is, "Oh, that's just, you are a bit of a fool to offer me that proposal." So it is very, very important to understand the meaning. As I said, my student did use this expression a couple of times and he thought he wanted to tell his associate he was respecting them, but actually it was not the right meaning. So if you are in doubt, Just stick with what you know. Don't try to use idioms if you're not sure of the meaning because you think it will make you sound more professional. Sometimes, if it's not quite right, it will do the opposite. So always stick with what you know. It's very important. Okay, and it's also important to use idioms in appropriate business contexts, which I think is quite obvious to most people watching this video. And also avoid overusing them and keep it natural. So we will have a bit of a closer look at this on the next slide. But before we do, one final tip: practice in both writing and speaking for fluency. So, of course, when you are learning English, it's always important to practice. Practice, practice, practice is what makes perfect. Okay, so overusing idioms. So which sounds more natural? So I am going to, well, I want you to imagine that I've gathered my team together because I've got something to say to my team. So this is what I want to say to my team. I've gathered the whole team together because, as you know, our new marketing strategy has failed. We therefore need to get back to the drawing board and raise the bar. I want you all to think outside the box and come up with a win-win situation for both us and our clients. If we could all get on the same page with something, that would be useful, as then we could hit the ground running and get this new strategy implemented as soon as possible. John, could you please be in the driver's seat and I'll touch base with you later today for a progress update. So there's quite a lot of idioms in that statement. I put them in bold for you so you can easily see them. I think there's about 8 there. So now let's turn the clock back. Okay, let's imagine that I've gathered my team together. But instead of saying this, I'm going to say something else to them. This is what I'm going to say. I've gathered the whole team together because, as you know, our new marketing strategy has failed. We therefore need to go back to the drawing board and increase the standard of our campaigns. I need you all to think outside the box and come up with something that will benefit both us and our clients. If we could all agree on something, that would be useful, as we can get productive and get this new strategy implemented as soon as possible. John, could you please be in charge and I'll touch base with you later today for a progress update. So both of these statements, they both mean exactly the same thing. They have exactly the same meaning. In one of these statements, I've overused the idioms. I've used a lot of them. In the other statements, I've just used 2, actually 3. So which one of these statements do you think sounds more natural? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you make your own mind up about that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for watching. But before you go, I just want to make sure you are paying attention, and I'm going to test your knowledge. So let's match the idioms. So I want you to match these idioms to these business situations. Okay, so the first one, your team needs a creative solution. So your team needs to think outside the box. I hope you got that right. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you were paying attention. The next one, you're restarting a project. So you're going back to the drawing board. Okay. You just started a new job and you're being very productive. So you are going to hit the ground running. And finally, a project that benefits both parties. Of course, this is a win-win situation. So if you didn't get any of those right, just simply go back to the beginning and play the video again, and play it as many times as you like until you have got the understanding of these idioms. If you did get them all right, well done, congratulations. I'm sorry I can't give you a prize, but I just want to say well done. So before we finally go, I'm just going to recap and give you some final thoughts to go away with today. So don't forget, Idioms make you sound more natural and more fluent, but just be careful to not overuse them. Learning context and practice regularly, of course, very important. Use idioms to build confidence in business communication. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It's been such a pleasure to have your company today. Please like and subscribe to this channel for more videos. This really helps me. If you like and if you subscribe to my channel, it really helps it to grow, and that means that I can make more videos for you to help you improve your English. And please share this video with your friends who are also learning English, as this might help them too. If you want to book a private one-to-one online English lesson with me, you can do that on my website. So go to my website at www.speakfluentenglish.co.uk, and that will give you all the information you need to book a one-to-one online English lesson with me. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It's been such a pleasure to have your company today, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please enjoy the rest of your day.